Hi, let's walk through the hotel example of drawing a customer journey. Step one is from your understanding of the customer journey, drawing something which is as simple as possible. So, the simplest thing possible that we can draw is customer decides they want to travel. Now, this is something which we have no visibility on. So, let me keep the visibility as low here, and our visibility or tracking transparency increases from down to up. Now they decide to travel. At some point, they may decide which way they want to stay. Do they want to do Airbnb or something? So they can be further stages of evaluation, decision. At some point, they have decided and they decide to come to your app. So maybe this is opening your app. So now we have some more transparency because they are landing on your app. You don't know you may know whether they opened your app on Android, they opened your website on a phone or on a laptop. So that might also influence your design decisions, and or also where they are at. Are they sitting at the workplace and also looking this up, or on their commute they are doing this? All of that influences your decisions. Now, once they are in your app, you have very high level of tracking transparency from first party tracking. You can see and understand better about the journey of evaluation. What options do they look at? How do they decide? What information do they see in each option? Because this is where you can influence their expectation. The reality is when they go to the hotel, the expectation is what you're setting up here when they are evaluating options. At some point, they decide and they go through a checkout flow. Now, checkout flow has its own depth. Let's go to the next step. So this is all in your app or website. So you have good amount of tracking here. They go through the checkout flow and you may get post checkout. So post checkout, there'll be less tracking because what will it include? It may include an email or text message or any other kinds of communication with the customer which is outside your platform. After that, they may next go to now they are going with their day-to-day life before their travel, and at some point they are now going to commute, so which we have even less they have commuted to, I don't know, commute or traveled to your hotel. They are entering the hotel. So let me actually move this from here to one level up. So they decide to travel, you have zero visibility, but they enter your hotel, you have some visibility. So you enter your hotel, the overall stay experience, and the exit. So these are some that you have limited amount of tracking, and I will mark it in this way. It's a layer in between the other two layers that we talked about. Uh, at present, this product team was sending the customers a CSAT survey after they have exited the hotel. So once they enter your CSAT survey, you again have a lot of tracking because it may likely be on your app or website, or even if you're using a third-party solution like Qualtrics, you'll have a lot more tracking. What questions they leave, what questions do they maybe spend more time answering. So this is an example. Now let's look at this from the drawing I did, and let's talk about where can you get different data points. So the user decides to stay. That's outside all of your tracking. You can't track that. Next, in accommodation, the in-app is they open your app, they search and evaluate, they confirm and pay. So the checkout flow. Then email, which is less than in-app, but there's still some tracking, whether they opened the email, whether they opened it multiple times to reference some information. Then there's the reminder email. Maybe you send something reminder again, like is there any kind of interaction there? Do you need any kind of KYC information or confirmation or cancellation reminder? Once they reach the accommodation, that's less tracking than email or in-app, but more than something that's in their minds. They enter the stay, they experience the stay, they leave the stay, and then they go to your CSAT survey. Now let's talk about data points. So how many you can use phone tracking software or website tracking software like Google Analytics to know how many people are landing on your website on any day, how many of these are logged in users versus new users, how many of them are then searching, how many searches do they do every time they come to the website, how many hotels do they evaluate, how many hotels do they evaluate before deciding to leave versus how many hotels do they decide to evaluate before they go forward. What's the difference in these two journeys? Checkout, there's a lot written already about checkout flows, so I'm going to skip that. Confirmation email, reminder email. So I'll also talk about this, but like I use SendGrid. You can also use Mautic or Marketo to track how many emails, how many people received your email, how many of them opened it, when did they open versus when you sent, and then what do they do? Do they click something there? Do they spend a lot of time there? What do they do? Same for reminder email. The tracking becomes more tricky when they are at your accommodation because you're relying on other, not telemetrics, but more telemetrics, but other ways of tracking. For example, at what times do they check in to your hotel, which there would be a ledger about it. What kind of questions do they ask? Somebody might need to manually jot these down. What kind, how many calls do they make to the maybe check-in desk? So that could be part of the experience because of some kind of dissatisfaction or confusion. When they leave the stay, how long does their checkout process take, or any other questions that they ask there? Any kind, how often do which kind of customers get charged during checkout? And then the CSAT survey. At CSAT survey, how many, what questions do you ask? Responses is an obvious thing, but also like how many people complete the questionnaire, how many people open the questionnaire, and so on. So, and that you can get from Qualtrics. I forgot to mention some of the software, maybe in one or two steps. But like this, you can get from Qualtrics or like Google. Even Google Forms might give you some information for how they are interacting with your survey.